Okay, so are you ready to dive in? Because today we're taking a deep dive into modern magic using your notes and excerpts from Modern Magick, which
Yeah.
is a fascinating book, but dense.
Yeah.
So we're here to make it a little bit easier to digest and highlight the most intriguing parts.
Yeah, we'll bring it all together.
Think of it like we're spelunking for gold in a mystical cavern.
And we've brought headlamps,
Yeah.
metaphorically speaking, of course. We'll illuminate the core ideas, techniques, and even some of the controversies within this system of modern magic.
Exactly. So first things first, what exactly is magic in this context?
Right.
It's not just about pulling rabbits out of hats, right?
Right. It's deeper than that modern magic as a system. It sees magic as a way to cause change in line with your will, using methods that science can't quite explain yet.
Right. It's
Yeah.
about tapping into something bigger than ourselves. Now, this book is a really interesting mix. It blends those practical instructions on how to actually do magic with some like pretty intense mystical philosophy, pulling a lot from Kabbalah.
Yes, but here's the thing. Modern magic is all about personal experience over dogma. So it's less about blindly following rules, more about trying these practices out and seeing what clicks with your experience.
Yes, and that's what I love about this stuff. It's about exploring and discovering what works for you.
Totally.
So let's get into it. One of the first things that caught my eye was this, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram,
Right.
or the LBRP for short.
UBRP, yeah.
It sounds pretty intense. Vibrating divine names, creating barriers of light.
It's actually a foundational practice in the system, often done before and after other rituals. Think of it like creating a sacred space. You're clearing out negative energy, almost like a spiritual spring cleaning to make way for higher vibrations. And those divine names, they're not just random words. Each one vibrates with very specific energies and powers.
So you're essentially tuning yourself to those higher frequencies, kind of like setting an intention for your magical work.
Exactly. And that's what makes the LBRP so foundational. It's about aligning yourself with those powerful forces and creating a clear, focused space for your practice.
Speaking of aligning yourself,
Yeah.
we can't talk about modern magic without diving into Kabbalah, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, the Tree of Life is like the symbol.
It's not just a cool-looking symbol. It's a complex map of reality itself, according to the Kabbalah. Each sphere on the tree, called a sephira, represents a different aspect of creation, from the most spiritual realms down to the physical world we experience.
So it's like a blueprint of existence.
Exactly.
Mm.
And by understanding the relationships between these sephirot, practitioners believe they can tap into those different levels of reality and gain a deeper understanding of their place within the grand scheme of things.
It's like understanding the code of the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this intricate map, but how does it actually apply to, life? That's the beauty of it. The Tree of Life isn't just some abstract concept. Think of it like a personal development system. By studying the tree, you're especially gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and your own potential for spiritual growth.
So you're using this ancient wisdom for personal transformation. That's really cool. But modern magic isn't all like esoteric philosophy, right? It gets into some very hands-on practices as well.
Absolutely. It's about putting these concepts into practice and seeing what happens. One core concept is mastering the elements. But we're not just talking about earth, air, fire, and water as like physical substances.
Right, because there's more to them than meets the eye.
Exactly. In this system, they represent fundamental forces that underpin all of creation. It's less about, controlling the weather and more about understanding and harnessing the energies that make up everything around us.
So how do you actually go about mastering an element? Does it involve, like, summoning a rainstorm or something?
It's more about subtle awareness and control. Let's say you're working with air. Instead of picturing a hurricane, you might focus on the feeling of a gentle breeze, noticing how it carries scents, sounds, even thoughts and emotions.
Interesting. So it's about developing a deeper sensitivity to these elemental energies that are all around us.
Exactly. And as you practice, you might be surprised by the subtle ways these energies show up in your life and how you can work with them.
Okay, so we've touched on the LBRP, the Kabbalah,
Yeah.
and working with the elements, it feels like we're already building a magical toolkit.
Right.
But something tells me there's a lot more to explore.
Oh, definitely. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of what modern magic has to offer. There's so much more to unpack. Remember how we talked about about the LBRP creating a sacred space. Well, Modern Magic also dives into creating magical tools, which are kind of like energy amplifiers for rituals. We're not talking about just any old wand or a theme, though.
Right, because it's all about the intention and the energy that you put into them. What kind of details are we talking about here?
Think of it like this. Imagine crafting a chalice, but instead of just picking a pretty cup, you choose the material, the symbols engraved on it, even the time of day you create it, all aligned with its specific purpose. It's about infusing every step with your will.
So it's like each tool becomes an extension of your intention,
Yeah.
charged with that specific energy. So it's not just about having these tools, it's about the entire process of creation.
Exactly. It becomes a ritual in itself. And speaking of rituals, Modern Magic doesn't shy away from one that often gets a lot of attention and even some fear. Evocation.
Okay, yeah, that's the one that sounds a bit like summoning demons in a dimly lit room.
Right.
What's the deal with evocation in this system?
It's definitely not for beginners,
Right.
but it's also often misunderstood. It's not about like controlling spirits or forcing them to do your bidding. It's more about respectful communication, almost like interdimensional diplomacy.
So more like opening up a dialogue with beings from other realms rather than like bossing them around.
Yes, and Modern Magic stresses that it requires a lot of preparation. Protection is key. And even more importantly, respect for the forces you're trying to communicate with. It's about approaching those interactions with humility, not arrogance.
It's fascinating, though, that this book really encourages you to engage with these different levels of reality. It's not just about sticking to the physical world.
Absolutely. And that ties into another interesting concept from Modern Magic, the idea that magic can be practiced solo or with others.
Okay.
Each approach has its own strengths.
So it's like choosing your adventure. Do you walk the magical path alone or with companions? What are the benefits of each?
Well, working solo gives you complete control. You tailor the practice to your own needs and energy. It can be incredibly empowering to rely on your own abilities. But there's also something to be said for the synergy of a group.
Right, because there's power in numbers.
Exactly. When a group combines their energy and intention, it can amplify the magical workings. It's like the difference between a solo musician and a full orchestra.
Wow.
Right.
It makes you think about the different ways that magic can manifest. Now, along with these bigger rituals and practices, Modern Magic also emphasizes some practices that might seem more, I don't know, everyday, like dream interpretation and keeping a magical diary.
Those are essential tools. Dreams, for example, are like messages from our subconscious. It's not about, finding a mystical dream dictionary, but rather understanding the symbols and emotions that come up in your dreams as they relate to your practice and personal journey.
So it's about recognizing those patterns and messages that might be influencing your magical work, kind of like having access to another level of insight. What about the diary? What's the benefit of keeping one specifically for your magical explorations?
Think of it as a combination lab notebook and personal grimoire. You track your rituals, the results, any insights you gain. It's a way to map your progress and learn from your experiences. Plus, it's fascinating to look back and see how far you've come on your journey.
It's like having this record of your own magical evolution.
Precisely. And speaking of evolution, Modern Magic dives into some pretty profound territory, exploring concepts like reincarnation and the nature of the soul.
Okay, so we're getting into some big questions here. What's this system's take on those concepts?
It draws heavily on Kabbalah, starting with the idea that the soul is eternal. Death isn't the end, but rather a transition to a different state of being. Each lifetime is like a chapter in the soul's journey, with opportunities to learn and evolve.
So it's not just about one life, but a continuous cycle of growth and transformation across multiple lifetimes.
Exactly. And the concept of karma plays a role, suggesting that our actions in this life have consequences that ripple into future ones. It encourages us to make choices that align with our spiritual growth.
It really makes you think about the bigger picture, that's for sure. And it's not just one big generic soul, right? Modern Magic talks about different levels of the soul.
Yes. It describes multiple layers, each with its own function. You have the nefesh, connected to our basic instincts and the physical world, the ruach, representing the conscious mind and intellect, and the neshama, our connection to the divine, that spark of spiritual light within us.
So it's like we're this multifaceted being with different aspects all kind of working together. What happens to these levels when we die?
This system suggests that the nefesh, being so closely tied to the physical body, dissolves with it. The ruach, our personality and memories, also dissipates. But the experiences and lessons learned get absorbed into the neshama, that eternal spark.
So the neshama carries the essence of our experiences into the next lifetime. That's incredible.
It's a fascinating concept, and it suggests that every lifetime builds upon the previous ones, carrying those lessons and wisdom forward.
This is blowing my mind. But it's also incredibly empowering to think about. It feels like modern magic is encouraging this very active approach to spirituality.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another intriguing aspect of the system, the use of sex magic.
Okay, that's one that definitely piques people's curiosity. But it's also often misunderstood or even misrepresented. What's the real deal with sex magic in this context?
It's important to approach it with maturity and respect. At its core, sex magic is about harnessing the powerful energies released during sex and channeling them towards a specific goal. Think of it like this. Sex is a powerful force, both physically and emotionally. Sex magic is about consciously working with that energy, rather than just letting it dissipate.
So it's not just about, the act itself. It's about the intention, the direction.
Exactly. Modern magic describes techniques for controlling and directing that energy, visualizations, rituals. It's about treating sex as a sacred act, a source of power that can be used for personal growth and transformation.
Makes you realize that magic in this system isn't limited to just one area of life. It's about finding ways to weave it into everything you do.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about approaching life with a sense of purpose, recognizing the interconnectedness of everything, and understanding that you have the power to shape your own reality.
Yeah, it's really amazing how modern magic encourages this really proactive approach to, just spirituality, to life. Not just waiting for life to happen to you, but actively shaping it, using these tools and techniques.
And it emphasizes taking responsibility for that creation.
Right.
It's not about blaming external forces if things go wrong. It's about recognizing that we have the power to change our reality by aligning our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions with our true will.
It's almost like you become like a conscious co-creator.
Yeah.
With the universe itself. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Right.
Modern magic also talks about potential pitfalls on this path.
Absolutely. One of the biggest ones is ego inflation. It's easy to get swept up in the idea of, having this power and lose sight of your original intentions.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if someone used their knowledge of the elements just to win every game of rock, paper, scissors, It kind of misses the point.
Right. So it's not about becoming a magical superhero, but rather, using this knowledge for personal growth and maybe even to help others. It reminds me of that saying, like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. And modern magic really emphasizes ethical practice. Another pitfall is getting lost in the weeds, so to speak. There are so many different systems and teachings out there. It's easy to jump from one to the next without ever truly mastering any of them.
It's like having a whole library of magic books, but you only ever read like the first chapter of each one.
Exactly.
You might pick up some, interesting tidbits here and there, but you're not really getting that full picture.
Modern magic encourages finding a system that resonates with you, diving deep, and practicing consistently. Quality over quantity. And it also reminds us that magic isn't about neglecting your everyday life.
Yeah.
You have to find a balance.
Right. It's about integrating these practices into your life, not letting them take over completely.
Right.
You can't just disappear into a mystical retreat and forget about, paying your bills.
Right.
Although that does sound kind of tempting sometimes.
Maybe for a weekend. But yeah, modern magic is all about finding that harmony between your spiritual pursuits and your everyday life, between your inner world and the outer world.
It's about living a more holistic, empowered existence and using these tools and techniques to kind of navigate life's challenges with more awareness, with more intention.
Precisely. And remembering, as we've discussed, it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, more to experience, more to discover.
And that's what makes it so exciting, right? Modern magic, it gives us this incredible framework, but it's up to us to take those first steps, to experiment, to trust our intuition, and to find our own unique path.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, knowing that there's magic to be found in the journey itself, in those aha moments, the breakthroughs, even the setbacks.
Yes. It's about recognizing that the real magic lies not in some, ancient text or secret ritual, but within ourselves. It's about tapping into our own potential and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Beautifully said. And that's what I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive. Modern Magick isn't just a book of spells, it's a guidebook for personal transformation, a call to explore the hidden depths within us all.
Yes, absolutely. So to our listeners, as you continue your own exploration, remember, keep learning, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep that sense of wonder alive.
Until next time, may your journey be filled with magic.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into modern magic.